Slightly nauseous. Got a headache.
You're slightly nauseous.
Yeah, I feel ill. No, I'm fine.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You
Is
okay?
it recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first words were slightly nauseous.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's almost like the first date.
Yeah, I'm nervous. Every time with you, Stephen's like the first time.
Oh man, I'm just gonna crank the input up a bit. You can hear that lovely sound of clicking. There we go. Okay, that sounds better.
Yeah, that's a lot better. Why didn't you do that from the beginning?
I don't know, because we're a little bit further away.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
That sounds a lot louder.
Normally we just kind of like tie our heads together with one headphone.
Yeah.
It would be good if we were loud the whole time, then we can just have it easy.
Yeah.
So this is a podcast.
Welcome to Frame by Frame. I'm Stephen.
You didn't. You did. Okay, I'm Andy.
I don't do that.
That's not what my wife told me.
Oh.
You talking to me?
Did you have a brain tumor for breakfast?
Then who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me?
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like some clown.
I'm Peter Binkman. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
Damn! Hot.
I'm kind of a big deal.
First thing in my club is, you do not talk about my
Yeah, baby!
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Today we're going to talk about comedy a bit more, aren't we?
Yeah, again we're bringing it up.
Yeah.
We're
Cool.
stepping away from the British Isles though. We're gonna do a hop, skip, and a jump over to the United States of America.
Well, you know what they say about America and Britain? That they're separated by an ocean. And it's true.
It's true, and that
And also
ocean's-
they say we're separated by common language.
and that's true.
Yeah.
And we're also separated by icebergs and rocks and
Yeah.
Atlantis.
But like they...
Ooh.
Oh.
Somewhere.
Indiana Jones.
And
Should have made that film.
why not?
Well, you know, like we say aluminium and they say aluminum.
Yes.
We say centrifugal and they say centrifugulary. I don't know if that's true.
Well, they say oregano, and we say oregano.
Yeah. We say herb and they say
Herb.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we say herb because there's a fucking H in it.
Yes, but then we also say hello, and
And I always go for the full hello.
hello,
Yeah, hello.
hello.
Hello, daddy.
Yeah, well, we drop a lot of shit in our language as well. I mean, but elevator, lift,
Yeah.
pacifier, Dodie.
Dodie.
Dodie, that's the North Lancashire, North Lancashire way of saying dummy. Yeah.
Pacifier just seems to me like a really horrible word.
Pacifier
There's your
sounds...
pacifier.
Yeah.
Suck on your pacifier.
Well, Vin Diesel made that movie, The Pacifier, and it sounds exactly how it was, conceived.
The pacifier!
Yeah. So Soother, I like Soother.
Soother sounds good.
Soother sounds
Yeah.
soft and gentle, and when the baby's crying, he doesn't want to hear "Get the pacifier." Oh no! He wants to hear something. Get the Soother. Oh, I like that. It sounds good.
The shut the fuck up plug.
Shut the fuck up, plug. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of differences, but is the comedy the same? How different is the comedy? I mean, what's because we hear a lot from Mark Maron saying that when he comes over to Britain, he finds it quite a culture shock. He finds it quite difficult to
In certain
relate
places.
to. In certain places, yeah.
Yeah,
Really,
I don't think
Edinburgh.
he didn't like the Fringe, Edinburgh Fringe, did he? He didn't
Yeah,
go down too
yeah.
well.
So, but for the rest of it, I mean, a lot of our comedians seem to be observational about what's familiar about life and kind of they try and bond with the audience. Whereas in America, they want to kind of subvert that and make the audience think, stand up on edge. I mean, we still have Stuart Lee here and those others, but in
But
America,
I suppose, it's still different. I don't think...
yeah.
Yeah, I suppose Stuart Lee does that to a certain
there seems to be more truth sayers over there than there are over here.
Yeah.
To me, the ratio is very different.
Yeah, because you get, like, George Carlin, for instance,
Yeah.
on live network TV, telling an audience how they're not free. You know, you're essentially slaves.
Yeah.
It's
great.
quite, it's cutting edge stuff. It really is strong.
It is amazing, and of course he voiced Thomas the Tank Engine on the cartoon over there.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Wow.
George Carlin did the Ringo Starr version. He did So
That's amazing. How did I never know that?
did you not know that?
Thomas is a tank engine who lives at a big station on the island of Sodor. He's a cheeky little engine with 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome.
I did not know that.
Yeah, then basically back in the 80s when we had Thomas the Tank Engine with Ringo Starr, it was exported, and of course nobody really understands Ringo Starr. Was that a good impression?
That was not bad.
Was that not bad?
That was okay.
That was okay.
Got away with that.
So they had George Carlin telling them how it is
That's not so good.
with the trains. Trains go this way, trains go that way.
Yeah, I like that. George Carlin, Thomas telling Diesel 10 how he's not free and he's working for like massive business interests.
Wasn't there a story about one of them bricking himself up inside a tunnel because he doesn't want to leave the tunnel, and so they just brick him up? I mean, that's sinister stuff, man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave this tunnel, so they just brick him up. It's like that. That's so. What's that? That Fred West. It's so Fred West. Come on. It's just not. I mean, Thomas the Tank Engine should be a little bit
lighter. Yeah,
It's
it
like-
was wrote by Reverend Audrey or something like that. Reverend, he was a reverend, wasn't he? Who wrote
Was he
Thomas?
Reverend, and his first name was Audrey?
No, it was something like 2 letters.
Oh.
Or maybe I can't remember. I should know because
He's a reverend. Okay.
he's a reverend, so that's why he's fucked up.
That's why he's got things hiding behind walls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Borderlands.
Skeletal.
So yeah. I mean, George Carlin is as a point of reference. He's known for being one of those people who is he kind of transcends because he's such a likable grunt.
Yeah, because a lot of it's not really comedy.
No.
It's someone being very angry about the state of the world.
Yes.
And shouting about it, and somehow that is hilarious.
But where else can that work and be most effective? But in the USA, because people really get on the horse. They get on the. What do they get on?
A high horse.
They enjoy watching people getting on their high horse, and they jump on board the wagon. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. So, but you know, it's. Yeah, I think America needs stand-up comedy.
I would have loved to have
it's
seen what
necessary
George
thing.
Carlin and Hicks especially would have said about 9/11.
Did they miss that? Both of them?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they missed that. Well, actually, no, he was alive, wasn't he? It was 2001,
It's
wasn't
2000, it's 9/11 in 2001.
Yeah.
It went in 2001, so he had stuff to say.
I wonder what you said about
He
it.
died on my birthday. That's really sad.
So would you make it all about you?
It's all about me, man.
Yeah, I said stuff about 9/11. Do you want to listen to it, people?
Okay.
Would you care to comment on that?
I always question the received reality. The consensus reality is often intentionally misleading.
Would you support a new investigation on 9/11?
You know, that's like, you know, that they don't investigate themselves in this country. Those people, there would be a white one. It would be like the Kennedy thing. It would be like everything.
Okay.
The people who are in charge do what they want, and they will always do what they want. The power does what it wants to. And I wouldn't trust an investigation. It's just fun. It's good speculation. Because you can't, you're getting this on here.
Oh, yeah. I hope you don't mind.
Well, anyway, now you know. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
Okay.
it. Thank you, George.
There we go.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Do you know what? That's actually the nicest comment on 9/11 I've ever heard. Because what were you expecting? Tears, blood.
No, actually, I think I expected that.
Just yeah.
I think George Carlin was under no. He knows the way the government works. He knows the way.
Consensus reality. I love that. Term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, if there was another inquest into 9/11, you're not going to find out the truth.
No. There's no way. I mean, he just basically made us realise. Yeah, you're right. Why are we so adamant that we need to have all these conspiracies anyway, and then who's going to find the truth? Who's going to do it?
I know who found the truth.
Who did?
Dr. Judy something.
Is he a comedian?
No.
Then I don't want to know about him.
All right.
No, carry on.
She
gets a badass.
It's a 2-hour lecture.
Yeah.
Empirical evidence of how the buildings didn't fall. They just disappeared. They just sort of turned to dust.
Wow.
Right? She's a scientist. She's got the evidence. She said because when she was watching it and everyone was like, "Oh my god, the buildings are coming down. I can't." It's a tragedy. Obviously, it's a tragedy. She was looking and saying, "Well, that's impossible because it would literally be millions of tons of rubble hitting the dike in New York, which would have ruptured the dike and flooded all of downtown Manhattan." It didn't. And if you watch it, their buildings just turn to dust. They don't fall. They turn to dust. And the whole of New York was covered in dust, which came from these buildings. She speculated that a high-powered weapon that was set off that we don't understand.
Right,
it's non-conventional.
Just
turned everything to powder, and it was bomb that was on there already that did it, and the planes had nothing to do with it.
The planes were subterfuge.
And then she said like she doesn't know why. She doesn't know who did it. She's not speculating that it was like this whole red tape thing or the government did it, but she's saying there's no way that those buildings come down. They just turn to dust.
I didn't think about the weight, the amount of building that there is. I mean, that is a tremendous weight to have those coming down as a blunt force onto the ground.
Yeah, because there was like cars that were right next to the buildings that are still there.
Still there.
But if the actual masonry of the buildings had come down, it would have destroyed everything.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Okay, that's an interesting one. I mean, that's probably the one of those bizarre. I mean, the idea that they vanished, the explanation.
Yeah, and she's a scientist. She has empirical evidence. You can't. She's not been disputed. That's how it was.
Well, it's yeah. More would have to be investigated, but then.
Well, I think this is her life.
What's the point?
That's her life, is talking about it and saying, and no one's proven her wrong. But anyway. George Carlin.
Shall we use the little circle on our advert for 9/11 conspiracy? We've solved it.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, solved.
Solved.
Stamp.
Go back to bed, America.
Go back to bed, America. You can sleep fine. I mean, it's just it's a shit deal. But no, that and George Carlin's approach there was just, I kind of wish I had that wisdom. Sometimes, when I listen to George Carlin, the things that he does say, it's not comedy, but it's rooted in comedy because the things that are true about life that you don't realise and you just get it, they create the same feeling inside of you.
Yeah,
it's not humour. It's almost like a release of realization, and that's the same thing as humor.
Do you think because, like, with America, it's still a heavily religious country, and to have someone stood there prophetising to you is somehow easier for them to take on board?
Always.
Yeah.
I don't think people can do it on their own, and I don't think they're comfortable being the beacons themselves. That they need to have one person for all. That's what religion is about, isn't it? It's having that one person in front of you telling you how it is.
Yeah.
That's what they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
So,
is that the difference between British and American comedy? Is that like an American audience need someone telling them how it is?
So I'm just trying to define the difference there. I mean, there's something deep about the way that Stuart Lee does it and the way that we react to it. In a way, maybe the audiences that go to see him aren't necessarily going to be all when America goes to watch George Carlin, they're all engaged as one. There's a unity. They would be afraid not to get it. But here we're kind of like more stubborn, and we kind of like would just go away and say, "Well, I didn't get it." Yeah. We're more happy to not get stuff and show it than I think they would be there. Of course, you're going to get your drunk hecklers and your honeymooners, not your honeymooners, your Hindu parties who will just simply be in their own thing with their own beacon. But that beacon on there is the most important thing according to the masses.
Yeah, I suppose so. And yeah, I've never had a thing with a British comedian where all of a sudden my life changed by something they've said.
Not totally.
Not totally.
No.
I had a similar experience with Tim Minchin, but I think everybody knows the first time they heard Bill Hicks's "It's Just a Ride" speech. Because I was my mate, Matt, again, keep coming back to him, he had a little place in Stretford. Did you remember Music Zone? He worked in Music Zone.
Yes.
And he got Bill Hicks' Revelations, which was a documentary about Bill Hicks, and then his Revelations hour-long...
Got you, yeah.
Yeah, his stand-up that was in London. And the whole thing I thought was hilarious. We were talking about Goat Boy and all that. And at that point, it was like really extreme comedy for me, Goat Boy.
Yeah.
You know, strap me to your headboard and let me wear you like a free bag. Fucking hell. But then, yeah, at the end, he has "It's Just a Ride" speech, and that was it. I was like, that man knows it. He's been to the dark side. He's come back. He gets it. He gets life.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my man.
When people say that they are able to leave their body and look down at the earth and see what things are for real.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has their own opinions and their own ideas, but they're all coming from that. I'm going to keep on using Carlin's words. I mean, consensus reality. I can't get that phrase out of my head because it's giving me a tool now to be able to kind of reference things from
that boost you did. Has that stopped?
That boost. Yeah, let's get it back to 60. We're back on boost.
Yep.
But yeah, it's completely changed. It's kind of added a chance for me to describe and understand things more, and I think that's brilliant. You know, if you don't have the words, if you don't have the expressions, then you can't put your finger on things, and all of a sudden it's kind of like, oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly right.
And that's exactly with Bill Hicks. He's like, he gave you a reason for understanding. It gave you an ability to actually see things in a different way.
Yeah.
And that you take that on board, and all of a sudden you start to see things in a different perspective.
Mm. And Hicks, he was a tragic character, wasn't he? He never really broke into the mainstream.
He reminded me of John Candy in a way, in some ways, in respect to him. He was actually a really good person. You know, he was a very lovable son. Very, you know, he liked his family. He loved. I find it hard to use the word love with Bill Hicks because it's like, but he did. He had his passions.
Yeah, I actually find with Hicks, I think the literal meaning of love is Hicks.
Quite possibly, yeah. That the mushy vision that we all have is a part of that consensus reality that we're told that love is this. But maybe he was loving everybody and everything.
Yeah, I think so.
In a kind of a raw way, but yeah, I mean, he was such a tragic figure because he had these things that like John Candy that kind of held him back and just kept him rooted in this ill health. I think it was the smoking for Bill Hicks. It was eating for John Candy.
Yeah, well, yeah, the smoking, and he did obviously dabbled with drugs. But he was the one person who talked very honestly about drugs, saying he's had bad times on drugs. He's had really good times on drugs.
Yes.
And he talked the routine he has about being pulled over by the police while he was tripping.
You never see positive drug stories on the news, do you? Isn't that weird? Since most of the experiences I've had on drugs were real fucking positive. Who are these morons they're finding? That's what I want to know. I used to want to call the news. Come over to our house. Watch Tommy. He's a pig. Film him. He's been doing that for hours. He's killing us. You getting all that? How about a positive LSD story? Wouldn't that be newsworthy just once? To base your decision on information rather than scare tactics and superstitions and lies? Just once. I think it would be newsworthy. Today, a young man on acid realized that all matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration, that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There's no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we're the imagination of ourselves. Here's Tom with the weather.
Every aspect of a subject is being discussed rather than just being looked at through a narrow vision.
Well, again,
with a narrow...
Yeah, and just to be able to take a huge subject and suddenly just make it easily accessible.
Yes.
When you talk about, there was a news report. One young man on acid thought he could fly and jumped off a building. It's a tragedy, and he's like, "What a dick! If you thought you could fly, you start from the ground first." Yes, perfect. Because if you thought you could fly, you wouldn't go to a building and jump off. You just think, I can fly, and you just start flying.
Yeah, Birdman.
Exactly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's not. That's not a tragedy. That's just stupidity.
That's just a dickhead who took some drugs and jumped off the top of a building. What a dick.
Always that same LSD story, you've all seen it.
Young man on acid thought he could fly, jumped out of a building. What a tragedy.
What a dick. Fuck him. He's an idiot. If he thought he could fly, why didn't he take off from the ground first? Check it out. You don't see ducks lined up to catch elevators to fly south. They fly from the ground, you moron. Quit ruining for everybody. He's a moron. He's dead. Good. We lost a moron. Fucking celebrate. Wow, I just felt the world get lighter. We lost a moron.
Bill Hicks, George Carlin, I mean, it all started in the 60s and 70s, of course, the freedom of speech movement.
Yeah.
Before then, you had Britain had its music hall, and then it changed into its working men's clubs.
Mm.
In America, it was similar. They went from being kind of very conservative, let's let the family have a laugh, kind of getting Bob Hope and all those others who I can name just like that if I wanted to, but I'm not gonna.
No, you're better than that.
Yeah, I'm better than that. And but then all of a sudden, this guy Lenny Bruce came onto the scene, and for some reason he was allowing himself to go on stage and say things that nobody had ever said before, because he understood that there's the difference in reality. When you're on stage, if people are able to put on plays, to say what they like in Shakespeare, to say what they like in any other kind of a form of entertainment, that stand-up comedy is still a form of art, that it is still a form of entertainment, that it is still a form of storytelling. It's everything encompassing in one. So therefore, what happened is because he started to use obscenities, he wouldn't use those obscenities off the stage. He wouldn't say them to people. They wouldn't, and the policeman who had him arrested one night for obscenities, because he said a few bad words. This is back in the time where you weren't allowed to say it in public. Literally, the policeman would turn to him in the car, as was perceived in the film Lenny. I don't know if it's true, but this might have been put in there for dramatic effect. The policeman said to him, "If you'd have said those words to my wife and myself, I would have knocked you to the ground."
Yeah.
It's that kind of society. But the thing about Lenny Bruce is that it's not that he didn't care. It's not that he wanted to rebel. It's not that he wanted to be the only person who was subverting the reality and forcing people to experience something different. He was just simply saying, words are just words like any other words. There's nothing wrong with the use of them. They're just words. There should be a fundamental freedom when you actually hit that stage.
Exactly. It's like... keep going back to Stuart Lee, but he talked about it in 90s Comedian about the...
He talks to me.
But the being sick into Jesus Christ.
Yes.
It's like if you try to put restrictions on freedom of expression, people are going to start testing those restrictions.
Yes, and that's
where
point.
Lenny Bruce comes from.
Lenny Bruce came from that, exactly that. But it's not for the sake of testing either. It's for the sake of knowing that this is exactly what he wanted to say, and this is how he wanted to say it.
The bust. What I got arrested for in San Francisco. San Francisco, I got arrested for, what I think, we can hear that, Daddy. I'm not going to repeat the word because I want to finish the gig here tonight. It's, they said it was vernacular for a favorite homosexual practice, a 10-letter word. It's really chic. That's 2 4-letter words and a preposition. I can't, I wish I could tell you the word. It starts with a C. Well, you know what the word is. Now, it's weird how they manifested that word as homosexual, because I don't. That relates to any contemporary chick I know, or would know, or would love, or would marry, And Now, when I took the bus, I finished the show. I said that word, the 10-letter word. And he comes over and says, Lenny, my name is Sergeant blah, blah. You know the word you said? I said a lot of words that time. Well, that word. Oh, yeah. Well, Lenny, that's against the law. I'm going to take it down. Okay, that's cool. It's against the law to say it and to do it. Well, I didn't do it, man. I know, but I just have to tell you that all the time. Okay. All right. Now, I'm getting in the way again. And one, he's cool, because he said you broke the law and specifically this thing. Now, the other guy, look, I got a wife and kid. I don't want to hear that crap at all, man. I don't want to get involved emotionally with this. What do you mean you want to hear that crap? Do I ever do that to you? Bam, then it got very sticky. No. You ever say the word no? Never said, honest to God, never said the word never. How long you married? 18 years. You ever chip it on your wife? Never. Never one time in 18 years you chip it on your old lady? Never one time. Then I love you. Because you're a spiritual guy, but if you're lying, you'll spend some dead time in purgatory. Now, we really got into it. Now, get in the court, take the same bus. The judge, Aaron Alvermitz, a red-headed junkyard Jew, a real verbissiner with thick fingers and a homemade glass eye. Tougho, right? He comes in, blah, blah. Swear the heat in. What do you say? Your Honor, he said blah, blah, blah. The judge, he said blah, blah, blah. Then the guy really yanked it up. That's right. I hadn't believe it. There was a guy up on the stage in front of women in a mixed audience saying blah, blah, blah. The judge, this I never heard, blah, blah, blah. Said blah, blah, blah. He said blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to lie to you. It's in the minutes. I'm not going to lie to you. All right. The DA. The guy said blah, blah, blah. Look at him. He's smug. He's not going to repent. Then they dug something. They sort of like saying blah, blah, blah. Because they said it a few extra times. Oh, look, do me a favor, too, because this is very self-indulgent, but never applaud, because it really breaks my pace, and I hate it, because I don't know what to do. I can't smile like when I'm at it. Unless you do something funny, and that's not, so I don't do it anymore. Now, they got so involved. I said, blah, blah, blah. The bailiff is yelling. What do you say? Shut up, you blah, blah, blah. They're yelling in other courts. What do you say? Blah, blah, blah.
This is exactly what's on his mind now. These are the things that he wants to say. This is what he thinks that people need to hear.
Exactly, and I have huge amounts of respect for that. I put it in that blog. I gravitate towards people that make me think, challenge me, make me think of things I hadn't thought of before. And Carlin and Hicks and Lenny Bruce do that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And yeah.
Some telephone going off.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Beautiful arpeggios.
So that's what you was pausing for. You were just taking in the.
I was taking in the arpeggios, the minor thirds. Ooh. It's like a circus in here.
Do you remember when we did that podcast in the middle of Israel?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It sounds
off
like
the Gaza Strip.
We're not even adding anything here. This is just purely.
Yeah, we're
in the room.
We're in the moment.
Yeah, what happened? It just shut down. But yeah.
But interesting. I didn't know this, but you told me that when Lenny Bruce was arrested.
Yes, one time.
George Carlin was arrested as well.
Exactly. George Carlin was. I'm not too sure if they knew each other. I don't think the film Lenny actually had George Carlin in it as
right.
Anybody portraying George Carlin, and I think that story was probably dealt with later, and they just didn't know at the time. But George Carlin was there.
Something's been bothering me, and I want to talk to you about it. Did you read about the two school teachers, remember, who were busted for homosexuality? Right. Okay, this is an editorial from this morning's newspaper, and I'm quoting directly from it. I'll just read the last sentence. And let us make certain that these sexual deviates are never allowed inside a classroom again. That's wrong. Because, first of all, they were busted for what they were doing 15 miles away from the school. But what's more important is that what came out at the trial is that they're damn good teachers. And do you know how long it takes to make a good teacher? And I'll tell you something else. There wasn't one incident reported where a kid came home and said, today in school we had 5 minutes of geography and 10 minutes of cocksucking.
And then suddenly this policeman stood up, and I believe he actually said the words, okay, folks, the show is over, which, of course, is a cliche that policemen use just at a killing, in a bar. When the crowd is getting, they want to break up the crowd. Okay, the show's over, the show's over. He actually said it in context. Everybody have a seat. They began to check people's IDs, and they had the people leave the club through the only door, the upstairs only door, one by one show their ID, because basically what they wanted to do was to catch someone underage so they could give the club trouble. And they found this girl, apparently. I guess she was 15 or something, I forget now. But in checking everyone, Vince and I just kept drinking our beers, and all the beer we could get, because the upstairs bar was right there. The service bar was in there. I was good and juiced by the time we got to us, and we purposely waited to be almost the last people just to watch all this going on. So when I got to the door and the police was there, ID, you want to see your ID? I said, I don't believe in ID. Just a smart-ass Irish guy, a little drunk, who didn't like authority anyway, and didn't really care much for regulations my whole life. So I always give him some shit, So I said, I don't believe in ID. So he was a little exasperated by this point, this policeman. I guess he was in plainclothes. And he sort of grabbed me by the collar of the suit and the baggy pant of my ass, and kind of bum rushed me down the stairs, kind of forcing me down the stairs and on my way out. And downstairs, there was a place that you'd pass through, and on the left there were two little portals that led into the bar area and the cocktail lounge area. And I knew Brenda was in there. So as they're rushing me past that, I said, tell Brenda I'm going to jail. And I got outside into a paddy wagon, an old-fashioned regular paddy wagon. This writer from Swank magazine was in there. And I really don't remember if Lenny was in there, because he said, what are you here? Yeah, I guess he must have been, because he probably said to me, what are you here for? And I said, I didn't give him my ID. And he said, hey, you don't be a schmuck,
Talk about a police state, though.
Yeah, I mean,
Orwell would have loved that.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly how it is. I mean, I think it was back then how it was, because they work under that need to follow certain rules, and if they're told that that people like this are dangerous, people like this are not good for society, they believe it. They firmly believed it back then. They had to put a stop to it because these people were saying things that they didn't want people to know.
Well, this is part of the reason why Hicks was pulled from Letterman.
Yeah.
I've heard that routine, and there's nothing in there by today's standards that is offensive.
We had him on this show, October 1st, 1993. And he came out and he did his stand-up about 5 or 6 minutes. And afterwards, in considering what I had seen, and it was an error of judgment on my part, just a mistake.
Really?
I made a decision, I think, born of insecurity more than anything else, and I said, I don't think we want to have that on the show. So we removed it from the show.
Right.
And when I say we, I'm in the production staff, but the decision was mine.
Yes.
And
yeah.
And like I say, looking back on it, I had no real reason. I don't know why, and I'm sorry that I did, and it was a mistake. So what we're going tonight, as you grow older, things come in and out of your mind, and you think, well, you can't really correct mistakes you have made in life all the time, but I thought, perhaps just symbolically here tonight, we will have Bill's mother on, talk about his life and his career, and then we will show you what was taken out of this show back on October 1st, 1993. So that's what we're going to do.
But I think it's interesting to note how people act on religious beliefs. You know what I mean? Like a lot of Christians wear crosses around their necks. Nice sentiment. But you think when Jesus comes back, he's really going to want to look at a cross? Ow. That may be why he hasn't shown up yet. Going, man, they're still wearing crosses, Dad. I'm not going. No. They totally missed the point. I'm not going. Forget it. I'll go back as a bunny.
But the establishment didn't like Hicks because he was saying things that they particularly didn't want someone to talk about.
Yes.
All this stuff about JFK.
There is a...
about saying there wasn't, there's no way that he could have killed JFK, In fact, he has a great part where he went to the, when he went to Dallas, and he went to the Oswald Museum. And, they call it the Summit Museum, it's not the Oswald Museum, but he said it's really accurate because Oswald isn't in it. He said you can get to the window where apparently he was shot, and he says, yeah, and it's really accurate, because accurate, because Oswald isn't in it. And it's a great routine as well. And then he said, like, there's no way he could have shot him unless some carrier pigeons had picked him up and flown him over the grassy knoll. And some people did remember hearing some birds going, coo, coo. It's great.
And that was probably it. He was flying, obviously.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And,
he was, yeah. It's a shame that that he went so early because like you say, we would like to have heard his spiel on.
Well, yeah, but he just had a TV series commissioned in Britain.
But part of me thought, well, she has every reason not to come here.
That's right. I had a lot of reasons not to come, and I thought about it, and then I decided to come.
Good. I'm glad you're here. And again, I know I can't make up for the damage that was caused, but I hope symbolically this means something to you.
Well, it does. Right. And I will tell you that was a very hard time 15 years ago when that happened. And I just will have to tell you that it was.
Well, I'm well aware of that.
I know that.
I don't know personally how difficult it was, but I can certainly, now that I have a son, I can certainly imagine what that...
You had to have a child to know.
That's right.
Okay, what else do you want to know?
I'm kind of feeling as though that there's just one thing that Letterman needs to resolve now, and that's the Leno thing.
Yeah.
And then I think he can retire, which is pretty much the next month. Letterman is retiring the next month. He's gone. Which is really sad because, he also came from the stand-up generation of course he knew he always wanted to be on television, but he started with stand-up, just like Leno did, just like all the others, and they all stem from that need to just. But their humor is very different to the ones that we kind of pick out as being the truth sayers. They're not truth sayers; they're joke tellers, and that's something different. A lot of joke tellers start out. I mean, Carlin started off very mild. He started off very mild, and he was very PC, and it took a while for him to find that to get that hunger to feed people.
And it's just, I think sooner or later these people who I personally gravitate towards just see the world for what it is.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking, right, I'm going to talk about that.
I'm
angry that this is what people are accepting this.
Yeah.
As the truth, we time and time again in every podcast we do, someone come round to this police state idea, this nanny state, and these guys saw it and they talked about it, and I think that's incredibly brave.
It is, and I think this is why we wanted to do this podcast. I mean, we're a part of us is not just inspired but driven by that hunger. And it's in us somewhere.
Yeah,
we're just tapping into it ourselves. I mean, we're having a stab at stand up.
Well, and
eventually,
and what I've written so far is all about that.
Yeah, it's about that feeling of getting to that.
Well, telling people that, like, what the hell, you're living this.
Yes.
But to be able to do it in a funny way.
Yeah, because I realize for the last few decades of our lives, I think probably when you're about 16, 17, 18, you start to kind of realize that there are holes in this beautiful canvas of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you start to tell people about it. And to begin with, you're telling all your friends at school, and it's kind of like, yeah, and it's like, yeah, you're right, it is, yeah. But then you go into the real world. You leave school and you go into the real world, and you start to tell your work colleagues, and they're like, oh, yeah. Then you start to tell your family, and they're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that old thing again. Parking on roads, people who don't indicate. People who don't open doors, they just go through the open door.
It's all in
these things.
It's all in the ride speech.
Yeah.
People come back to tell you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Lennon and, you said, we have these great people that come back and tell you, look, it's just a ride.
It's just a ride.
And you can get off it any time you want, but the people who are making the money out the ride is saying, no. I've invested a lot in this ride. This ride's real. It's not real. It's just a ride. You can get off it any time you want. That fucking speech, man, should be taught in schools.
Yeah.
They wouldn't, because the establishment wouldn't want that. But that to me is essential education.
Yeah.
That changed my life.
The establishment wants you to do basically any message that you have that is mass cultural message is given to you by the corporate mass.
Carlin said it himself. We're not a society anymore. We're consumers. We're not people. We're consumers.
Yeah. We're literally like the whole world is this big black hole
Yeah.
absorbing our energy.
He has this great. I think he was being interviewed, and he's like saying, "There's no choice in this country anymore. The only choices there are is like paper or plastic, aisle or window seat. There's no real choice in this country
Yes.
anymore."
Yeah, exactly.
What a man! I miss that guy.
Yeah. You just want these people around, and it's sad when they go. It's sad when Robin Williams goes. I mean, he wasn't so much a truth sayer as just a person who just said, "Look, just don't worry about it. Fuck it. Just enjoy it."
Yeah.
You know, enjoy everything for what they are, good or bad or indifferent. It's just there. It's the ride, but you know.
A little sip of Perrier here. I had to stop drinking alcohol because I used to wake up nude in the hood of my car with my keys in my ass.
Yeah, Robert. Again, because we'll talk about truth sayers, but Robin Williams, as you just said, wasn't. But equally, he was funnier.
Here's a little warning sign if you have a cocaine problem. First of all, if you come home to your house, you have no furniture, and your cat's going, "I'm out of here, prick." Warning. Number 2, if you have this dream where you're doing cocaine in your sleep and you can't fall asleep, and you're doing cocaine in your sleep and you can't fall asleep, and you wake up and you're doing cocaine, bingo. Number 3, if on your tax form it says $50,000 for snacks, mayday. You got yourself a cocaine problem, smartass.
And he could turn complete dark tragedy into hilarious things. He's talking about his drug addiction and his alcoholism.
Yes.
And it's sort of a way is easy. Part of it, now in retrospect, he took his own life. He's saying, "I'm hurting.
I'm hurting here,
I'm
please.
really, I need help."
Yeah.
But he's saying it in such a funny way. Everyone's going, "Oh, he's so funny, he can laugh at his alcoholism." But he wasn't. He's saying to people, "I'm fucking dying here, man."
And that's the thing, you know, when he had his later interviews, like I'm kind of just starting to notice the cracks in him, because every time he kind of touches upon something that is serious, he immediately follows up with something funny.
But it's cheaper than therapy a lot of times. For me, it's a chance to talk about things that were kind of my life. I'm not as personal as a lot of people do, but the last HBO special kind of got into interesting aspects about the relapse and, you know, the idea of like going to... I went to rehab in wine country just to keep my options open.
Good night, everybody. Thank you very much.
But it's the idea of...
Keep your options open.
But talking about just having kids, initially, for me, the first time I actually started to talk about my life was the HBO special that I filmed at the Met, where I talked about having kids and having to kind of put it together and really having responsibilities. And having Zachary, and I remember the first time doing my act, and then all of a sudden, the first time Zachary's in the car, and all of a sudden somebody cut me off in traffic, and I went, and from the back seat, this little voice went, and I went, oh, you're Daddy's boy. But now, all my kids have grown up, and they've done amazing. When Zachary graduated from college, he got a degree in linguistics from NYU. And I said, what are you going to do, open a syntax repair shop? But I was so proud of him, because I never graduated from college. And I was just like, and then he went on to get a degree from Columbia, and an MBA in business. I'm like, okay, that's it. That's enough. But now he's working. He's actually making money on his own. Daddy loves you. Daddy loves you. We're going to go. Where are we going? Where are we going today? Let's take Daddy over by the sidewalk.
But the thing is, the reason why he does that is because he can hear people laughing before when he starts to talk about, well, depression is a very serious thing. You can hear somebody just laughing because
they're waiting for the punchline.
Because they're waiting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And unfortunately, with Robin Williams, nobody actually looked at him as a person who could ever possibly need help. He's helping. He's literally, you cannot help somebody who knows everything is funny. But they don't realise that it's not about that. He's simply just doing that because that's his show, that's his entertainment, that is him being the entertainer.
Yeah.
That is him working. That's him at work.
It was like he was never allowed to not be Robin Williams.
He wasn't allowed to be in pain.
Just look at your own life and just realize what things are precious to you. That's what I did when I was doing it. I would come home and just realize how extraordinary that you have heaven in front of you. I mean, and sometimes people say, and also hell, you bastard. But also that idea that you have, look around and see the precious things, the connection with family, friends, the things and the people, especially in your life.
No.
It had to be.
There had to be a punchline to every single possibility of sadness to his life, and I think
apart from Mark Maron when he interviewed him.
Yeah, that.
And I can't listen to that anymore without crying.
Yeah, I think I have to leave that alone for a while because I listened to it pretty soon after it was re-released.
Well, Mark Maron, he put it back out, when Robin took his life, and it's a tough listen because there's no jokes in there.
No,
Robin's never. He's just honest about how difficult life is for him,
and he was able to finally actually say things without there being an audience fucking it up, just forcing him out of that reality zone and into the entertainer again.
Yeah,
it's like living, being friends with a waitress and saying, "Get me a cup of coffee," As soon as she starts to talk about reality, don't tell me about reality. Just go make me a cup of coffee. Go fetch me something. Just because he's a comedian doesn't mean he's always on.
Yeah. And that's the genius, I think, of Mark Maron, where he can always get that out of people.
Yeah, and I think that
we'll talk about Maron great depth later, I think. But
a lot of what we talked about anyway, are kind of like I think we owe Mark Maron so much in the way of our knowledge and our learning about people, about life, and about
I've listened to podcasts, and I've had to tweet him to say that you get it, and that's exactly.
I stopped tweeting him because I'm like, there's just too much. It's me again. I can't believe you. It's like there's nothing else to say anymore. It's like you're doing it, and
well, there was I forget the actress who was talking with.
Yeah.
But she was talking about how she deals with depression and how she sort of is, and I tweeted her. I mentioned both of them. I just said that's it. I get it. That literally helps me because other people like that. And she actually tweeted me back saying, "That's so sweet that you can do that." Nice, and he retweeted it, and I'm like, "Oh, Mark Maron knows I live. I'm alive somewhere." But his podcast persona is far away from his stand-up. It's very different. When I first started to listen to his stand-up, I was surprised, and in a good way, of how different he is on stage as he is.
Honestly, though, I didn't prepare that well because that's just the way I do it. I don't believe in preparing. I personally don't really like preparers. They're annoying people generally. Like, you know, what's like, hey, I really prepared for this. Well, you're a coward. You know, why don't... Where's your sense of adventure? How important is it that you, like, you know, why set yourself up for that? You know what I mean? Everyone's this careerist culture, you know, this sort of like trajectory thing. You know, it's going to kill you. You're going to end up lonely at the end and not doing what you want to do. Don't prepare, man. Just load up. In my mind, if I don't prepare and I pull this off, I'm a fucking genius. I'm a genius. Right? And if I don't pull it off, I didn't prepare. If I would have set my mind to it, I would have nailed that shit. But no, I didn't prepare because I like to roll the dice, man. Feel alive. What's going to happen? I don't know. I might fail. All right, fuck them. That would be you. I'm not going to blame myself for that.
He's a guy who knows he's got 2 jobs and they're both very different.
Yeah.
Some people can't handle that. Some people would just blend the two and it becomes blurred.
Yeah. But his stand-up is brilliant. He's such a good stand-up.
I met a woman like not too long ago. We had sex once, and within a week, she texted me 50 fucking times. One day, 50 texts. And I was showing people. I'm like, look, she's fucking crazy. Look how fucking crazy she is. I'm not getting involved with this. This is fucking ridiculous. Then the 51st text was a picture of her pussy. And I said, maybe, you know. But the weirdest thing, like, that really happened, right? And like, for some reason, like 2 texts after that, the guy who was building this bookshelf for me texted me a picture of the bookshelf he built, and I was actually more excited about that. Yeah. Like, I don't know if that's age or what, but there was part of me that thinks, like, you know, I don't have to be afraid to put things in there, you know. And I know that'll last.
I don't think he functions well in a place of mass acceptance.
No, exactly. He couldn't be in Madison Square Garden because.
Oh, he could, as long as there were other people there with him. I think he'd.
Oh
be
yeah,
all right.
if it was part of a comedy, yeah, loads of comedians, but not just a load of people come to see him. I don't think he'd ever do that. But he has the Billy Connolly thing. When he's doing stand-up, he's just talking to you.
Yeah.
He's not talking to anyone else, just you, and that is a rare gift.
It is, and it's you're right. I didn't see that. I never actually saw that he actually is just talking to you, and that's it. Because I get that with the radio show, but I've never kind of thought about his stand-up being in the same way.
And he's an honest guy. He talks about his life.
Yeah.
You know, there's one stand-up where he just mentions his wife. He says, "Oh, we'll get onto my wife in a minute. It's not working out." And then he just goes on about something else. And then this long story about how him and his wife just not working out. But they're still together at that point. And it's so honest and
but it's not
hilarious.
Yeah, it is. But it's not as if, you know, you never get that idea that he's outing himself or outing others. He's literally just talking to you as a friend. And reaching out and saying, you know,
it
does that.
He
so
can't
well.
do it any other way. This is how he, and it's leaked into his show. You know, we spoke about in Maroney's TV series, where he lost a relationship because he was talking about stuff, you know, how it's difficult to keep up sexually with his girlfriend because she's a lot younger than him, and you know, and that kind of stuff. And his routine. Have you did his routine about having sex on Viagra?
I sit down, this little old Jewish guy, he looks at me and goes, "Have you tried Viagra?" And like when you're a dude, you know, there's part of you that thinks like, I don't need that. I'm fine. My angry Jew cock is in working order and seeking revenge on a weekly basis. So I look at him, I go, I don't need Viagra. And this little Jewish man, with his face lights up, he goes, "It's not about need. This is a great drug. No side effects, it's terrific." So now I gotta picture him, you know, like just this, you know, this like weird little, you know, sack of sand with a protruding nub, you know, like. And he goes, "Let me give you a few." So I'm like, you know, I'm a drug guy at heart, and I'm like, all right, didn't take one, I'll take some of these. So I had like 3 of these fucking blue pills, you know, and in a little sample pack, 3 or 4 of them, and I'd never taken them before. I knew what they were supposed to do, but I didn't, you know, ever take them. I did a little research on them, you know. you know how much money those drugs make? I mean, they make millions of dollars. So in my mind, I was like, well, that means that, you know, everyone's doing them. You know, it's not just those people you see, you know, dancing in their living room on the commercial or holding hands in bathtubs or, you know, getting onto motorcycles with too much gear at their age. You know, everyone must be doing this. Everyone has at least tried it, you know. So I'm just trying to justify it in my mind, you know. And then I started thinking, like, why don't they market it to people like me? I mean, I'm in trouble. I'm heartbroken. I'm a mess. And I pictured the ad campaign, you know, Viagra for when you want to fuck anything. Because, you know, you could be crying, just sort of like, I don't know, I miss my wife, this feels weird. Okay, I'm ready, sit on it. Viagra. When you want to fuck anything. I tried them a few times. They're dangerous, man. Have you ever done it? You got to do it at least once. You don't realize, you know, whatever you're working with without them, it's fine. But on them, you're like, oh my God. It's almost like when you're fucking on Viagra, there's like a moment like where you look down at your cock and you think, it doesn't even need me. Like I wish I could just leave my body and sit over there and jerk off to me doing this. That's how good I'm doing.
Love it.
Well, that's probably the truth as well.
That's it. It's
so
true. He's being completely truthful about... Because his doctor recommended Viagra to him. He said, just try it. It's great. I do it all the time. He's like...
It's intermission time, folks. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Step right over to our refreshment center for the most extravagant array of refreshment goodies ever assembled under one roof. Enjoy breathtaking, mouth-watering goodies. Everything from a snack to a delicious full meal. At our refreshment center, you'll find a large variety of goodies to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, or your sweet tooth. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Visit our refreshment center now.
And just going back to the whole, you know, Robin Williams being perceived as somebody who always has to be switched on. Lisa Lampanelli has the same problem. Because she, when she's on stage, she plays vulgar humor very well.
Right.
She's happy to talk about fat vaginas and twisted, funny vaginas and weird-looking penises and black men doing her and all that until, you know, that is her thing. And that's her comedy. That's her work. The problem is she cannot handle when fans stop her in the street and start talking smack to her as if they're reaching into her work and just doing it back to her.
Was she on Maron's podcast? There was 3 other women on it.
I'm not too sure if she was on it or it's probably
seem to remember. Yeah, I seem to remember.
Because she kind of said, "Well, it's just not me, and I don't know what to do in that situation when people start to come at me and say the things that I say to them, and you know, I can dish it, but I can't take it. You know, it hurts." Because it's like, you know, you don't know me, I don't know you. Why are you saying that to me on the street outside of the reality of the stage? You see, the stage is the stage. That's where the magic happens. You don't go up to Kenneth Branagh and say, "You bastard, having sex with your mother" in Hamlet.
I'm going to bring this back to Hicks in his routine, where he says it's like going up to Jackie Onassis with a gun rifle pendant. You know,
oh yeah, the cross.
When he's talking about why would Jesus ever come back? Why did you wear a cross around your neck? Jesus would be like, that's the last thing you'd want to see. Yeah. It's like going up to John F. Kennedy's wife with a rifle pendant saying, "Just keeping the spirit alive, Jackie." You wouldn't do it.
Exactly.
You know
exactly.
I mean?
People don't see that, and because they don't see it, they just go along with it because everybody has a cross.
Yeah.
It's culturally accepted by the masses, and as soon as that happens, everybody goes, "Okay, it's fine. Let's do it."
You wouldn't go up to an actor who's portrayed a serial killer and just assume that they're a serial killer.
Yeah, and pin them against the wall and say, "I know what you did."
Yeah, exactly. But
Michael Rooker, portrait of a serial killer. I saw that movie. I know what you did. I'm gonna kill your fucking dog.
I get the feeling though Rooker would probably then murder him.
I think Rooker would probably Rooker.
I love Rooker. So that actress, that comedian,
yeah, Lisa Lampanelli. I mean, she's such a sweet person, and she doesn't want that. She doesn't want people to come up and and shout cunt at her face.
Yeah.
But it's only because the nature of the work that she does echoes the nature of how people want to perceive her in reality, and that's not fair. I think it's.
I'd say it's not fair, but
it's people's grasp on reality that they're not able to get.
Yeah.
It's.
But again, relatively speaking, if you're going to do that kind of material, you're going to attract those kind of people.
You are. I mean, yeah. I mean.
I can't imagine people going up to Roy Chubby Brown and not saying, "You fat bastard," you know.
Yeah, I mean, he probably gets it all. You know, he gets it every time, no matter where he goes.
Who knows? He might sit at home, read. You know, his favourite book might be Macbeth, and he's got his glasses on, a glass of brandy, his house coat on, reading.
Probably is, but he probably laughs at Macbeth. He finds it hilarious. Yeah. It's like, oh, now she's urinating. Great.
Yeah. Is this a cock I see before me?
Yes, that's true. I actually did see. It's amazing. We ought to talk about the fact how comedians, or people who are perceived as being funny, can also be so serious that they do have that opposing. I mean, Robin Williams does have that ability to just be serious, and he did that in Good Will Hunting. And I think, well, the first film
he was allowed to do it within films.
In films, he was okay, and people let him do that because there was nobody there to laugh and piss and to destroy that.
1 hour photo.
Yeah,
he was terrifying in that film.
Horrible.
Yeah, and he can play. And what was the film he did with Pacino? Insomnia.
Yeah, and Final Cut as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's very similar characters where he is this introvert, non-funny person, and because he was in an environment that it was a closed-off environment, that he was allowed to just do that. If they ever made films with kind of like audiences ever, he would never be able to do that. Then he would constantly be kind of like on that switch, like he was pushing that button to say funny guy. Funny guy, come on! No, funny guy.
And
it's
because he could do it within film, though. I suppose that was his outlet.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you've got a globe of people just saying, "Oh my god, that performance Robin Williams gave, it's so not his character." Yeah. How do they fucking know? That could be his character.
Exactly, that could just be him through and through, and they just don't realise because they've seen him so much doing the Jackass.
But then when he's But, and then when he's talking, when he's being interviewed about Insomnia, he's back on Robin Williams comedy mode.
Yeah,
I can't believe we got this character. You got this performance out of you, and then he'll just be spitballing.
I know, that's me. But that's it. His performance is our sense of his reality.
Yeah,
is it? And maybe him being himself is just doing those films.
I remember him being interviewed by Clive Anderson, Robin Williams, and Clive Anderson was a smart guy. I remember him interviewing Eddie Izzard, and Eddie was trying to be funny with him, and he was, I think, possibly more intelligent than Eddie, so he was like second guessing him, and Eddie didn't like it. He could not keep up with Robin Williams. He just couldn't keep up with him.
Who could?
Yeah, and he actually mentioned, so he said, "What kind of comedians do you like, Robin Williams?" And he said, "Oh, well, I actually like Eddie Izzard. I think he's a surreal comedy." And then Clive Anderson was like, "Oh, well, isn't your wife producing the plays in it at the minute?" And he's like, "Oh, you're that guy you're like the guy at the party, aren't you, when the magician's doing his thing saying, I've just seen the rabbit, there's a rabbit there, you spoil it," and he just couldn't keep up with him.
He'll jump on him. Yeah. Whereas people would say, "Oh, damn it, you got me."
Yeah.
Nobody would ever go. Robin Williams would never ever give up. You never say, "Oh, damn it, you got me."
Yeah.
I mean, even
and Clive Anderson submitted to him. He's just like, "All right, I just can't keep up." He was like he goes, "I'm like a fart in a wind tunnel, aren't I?" kind of thing. And it was always a joy to watch, and I miss him.
Exactly.
You just always look forward to something Robin Williams was going to do, and to know that he's never going to do anything ever again is hard.
It hurts.
It really does.
And we started this podcast in November, and we kind of missed out on the whole Robin Williams thing.
Yeah.
We haven't even reviewed any of his stuff yet, really. I mean, maybe we're still finding that a little bit too hard to get into. But one day I'd like to hope that we can, because it's like with the Leonard Nimoy tribute, that's still hard, but at the same time it's different, very different. You
I didn't
know.
have such a personal relationship with Leonard Nimoy as I felt I did with Robin Williams.
Yeah, I think the emotional outburst I had with Leonard was more the fact that he had just gone, that he'd just slipped away, and that was kind of like there was an essence that was missing. But what got me was everybody else's reactions, going onto the Star Trek game and seeing all those, and realizing that everybody who plays a game has stopped playing the game to go and stand on a digital facade of Vulcan, and everybody else's reactions out there in the ether. Everybody was kind of really responding, but with Robin Williams, it's just nobody's responding. Everybody's just
with Leonard Nimoy. There's a sort of feeling that he will live on.
Yeah, there's something about him that
because comedians have to stay relevant and keep giving out content. Where what Leonard did will live forever because of what he's done. I'm watching a series at the minute called Fortitude.
Yes,
and it's brilliant. It's amazing, right? I'm really into it. It's subversive. It's scary in parts. And so I'm on to episode 9, right? It's as if this is my sort of. I'll try and make a little comparison here. I watched episode 9 tonight, say, and by the end of the episode, they've killed off every character, and that's it. It was the last one, and you'll never see it again. And I'll be like, whoa, I was enjoying that. I was watching that, and that's it. It's over. I'm never going to see it again. That's how I feel with Robin Williams going.
Yeah,
I was enjoying him. I loved everything he did, and then no more.
Yeah, the thing is, with Leonard Nimoy, he'd finished doing Star Trek back in 1991, even though he'd just done little bits after. He started things and he finished them. Started things and finished them, and there were different projects: photography, film, commercials. He was just dibbing and dabbing towards the end of his life. For the last 20 years, it was just doing little things. You knew he was there. You were happy that he was just still going.
Yeah.
But with Robin Williams, he was still relevant. He was still present. He was coming back. He was still making the movies. He was still making appearances everywhere. He was more available to us. When on demand, he was like, "Don't worry, guys, I'm not going anywhere. Something new's coming out soon," and we would wait. And we were like, "There's Robin Williams again. Okay, I'm back." And I think that loss,
and
was so.
He killed himself.
He just dropped off the face of the earth, and that was it.
That's Leonard had a medical condition and he died.
Yeah.
Bill Hicks had a medical condition and unfortunately died too young. George Carlin, I think
he had I think he was just got unlucky.
Yeah. But I mean, he killed himself. That dude.
That's the hard part, and I think we don't want to go too far.
No, but he was hurting, and I think we've covered it. Correctly, but he was hurting, and he was never really. From what I perceive, from what I've seen, he was never had that outlet to say, "I'm struggling, guys. I need help."
I mean, he did speak to Billy Connolly just before he died, and he spoke to Billy Crystal as well. Billy Crystal was in France, in Paris. He was nowhere near him when he died. He got the news way over there, and it was almost as if the fail-safes that had been there before just weren't there. There was a kind of a sense that maybe there was an outreach, but I think it was just one of those cases where sometimes where all the fail-safes are gone, that's it. Yeah, there's nothing in you.
So Richard Pryor. Let's talk funny
okay,
about
man?
comedy. Yeah, I'm alright.
Yeah, and we had to touch up in something.
That's it. Before we go on to Pryor, Dennis Leary. What do you think of that guy?
Yeah,
because he basically just ripped off Bill Hicks' career, didn't
he? He's different. I don't see him as a comedian. I see him as a.
He started off as a stand-up.
He started off as doing stand-up, and
because the routine that Bill Hicks did about that jogger who wrote books about jogging, and he went on TV talking about jogging. He was obsessed with jogging and had a heart attack while jogging. And I think Bill Hicks had a routine about it, and Dennis Leary pretty much said the exact same thing in the same sort of way, the angry, quick, the angry comedian thing. And I know Bill Hicks they were friends, but he couldn't handle it. He just didn't want to have anything to do with them because of it, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
get that. I understand that.
Totally. That's why I don't think of Dennis Leary is in a different league. He's in a different place, not league but place. He's not there as a truth sayer. I don't think that he's a person who wants to tell people, you know, how things are. I think he's just merely just trying to figure out. I think his is built more on ego.
Yeah.
Then it's more about him than it is about the things that he says. And I don't think he's that interesting a person for me in terms of. I mean, he's more of a businessman about it.
Right.
And I don't think that he's as sharp and as raw as you know, a lot of people make out. Maybe.
Well, a lot of stuff Hicks said, a lot of the time was not funny.
No,
not all his stuff worked.
No.
And there was times where if the audience weren't coming with him, he'd just be shouting at the audience.
Yeah,
angry,
when he's terrible with hecklers. To be honest, I think when as soon as there was a heckler, there was like an awkward moment, and you're thinking, "There's no way they can come back from this." He just needs to go away and leave it.
Maron tells a great story about him, where Maron wanted to go on first, and then Hicks are going after him because he wants to do things. Hicks is like, "No, I'm going on first. I don't want to." So he's like, "All right, fine, you go." So Hicks goes on stage, and Maron goes into the toilet. He's in there for a few minutes. He says he has no idea what happened in those few minutes, because when he comes out, he's just screaming at some woman in the audience saying, I'm a fucking poet. I mean, that's Hicks.
That's it. Yeah, it's like being having your crazed uncle who has bipolar around to the family. You go to the bathroom and you realize, you come back and there's something's really going wrong with Uncle Bill again.
Yeah,
it's like,
Uncle Bill's doing it.
He's doing it again. Oh, now somebody better make a phone call. Let's get his sponsor.
But Bill could go dark.
Yeah, and I think that he had that. Yeah, like Kinison, Sam Kinison, who was also because he was a preacher. He was a friend of Mark Maron and friend of quite of the few of the 80s pack. He was a screamer. His shtick, his thing was everything leads to the scream, the primal scream, and you know, marriage. You know what marriage is?
Yeah, I buy it every time. Every single time I buy it. Love comes into my life and goes, come on! Come on! Yes, no, this is love, not like the others. This is real love. I wouldn't lie to you 9 times in a row, you ass! Open the door! So, oh, great. It lied to me again! Sam did. She took it all! I was married for 2 years, and I think someone put a primal scream!
Wow, fucking hell, mate.
Did you get that? I hope I hadn't killed the neighbour. We're going to have the police around, aren't we?
Oh, can you just... My ear.
Was that too much?
It was a bit loud, but it was okay.
It's like, but my point. That's,
yeah, absolutely.
That actually really hurt. Do you know what? I actually feel better now.
Do you?
Yeah. Sam Kinison.
It just reminded me of the poster of Totality's lady.
I do feel so... Do you know what? I actually needed that. But yeah, Sam Kinison's about that. But he was about the fact that preaching is a source of screaming and singing and all that. It's like, you realise that all of this is just about having this release.
Yeah.
And everything that you have in life, all these frustrations, everything that you know, he basically talked about everything from marriage to having children to things that just you realise that your life is literally just one big screen.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I enjoyed his routine. Yeah. It wasn't long lived. I mean, he died in a tragic car accident that, you know, was held by, I can't remember who it was, but he gave a very emotional interview with Mark Maron about holding him and him seeing, you know, angels as he drifted away into death. And you know, he was that's going dark. But he was just. But the thing is, he was just that. He kind of just built himself around that whole act.
Yeah.
Kind of like Gallagher smashing watermelons.
All right, we got Gallagher. We're gonna start with the watermelon.
On stage, you know, there was nothing more to it. It's, you know, there's that, but. I still find that perspective fascinating.
Yeah, and I like when comics go dark. I like it when they push it and you're thinking, whoa, like Hicks doing his Go Boy routine.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you have. And you know, you're 16. all that stuff. And you're like, oh no! And he gives a great routine when he'd been dumped by his girlfriend, and he's saying that like one day he should be having sex with her. He doesn't feel bitter anymore because he knows that one day she'll be having sex, and he's this big fat thing on top of him shooting his cholesterol-ridden semen into her, and he'll have a heart attack and all this black bile will come out of his mouth and it'll be spewing in her face and she'll be choking and it'll be awful, and then she'll look over to the TV and I'll be on it. And it's all like, wow, man.
That's love it, yeah, and that's kind of that's from the heart.
Well, it is because
it really
it means that shit, you know.
Exactly, and the thing is, we all think it sometime in our life. We think about our past hurts, and we think,
I would love one day to me be on TV and all the people that's fucked me over look at it and think, because I know it'd hurt them, and it'd make me feel bad to know they've hurt them because they've hurt me.
Yeah, I mean, I have
no idea. It's a natural compulsion, but to be able to just have the opportunities to do it on stage.
Yeah, to actually say to them, this is what I would do.
Yeah,
it's probably not going to happen this way, but do you know what? I want to let you all have that image in your head so that I feel as though it has happened.
Well, his girlfriend,
it feels like it happened.
Yeah, his girlfriend will probably listen to that,
and she'll visualize it.
She'll know it's about
Everybody
her.
will visualize it. I mean, that's a strong visualization. That's the whole point. That's the point of that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's allowing things that aren't ever going to happen and aren't real to just be.
And that's the thing with Hicks.
Exist.
He was a dark poet. That's what he was. He was
Great.
a dark poet.
It's not, and poetry's not about rhyming. It's just about
and Jaws isn't about a shark. So what about what about Richard Pryor then? I love Richard Pryor.
Pryor, sometimes it's difficult with Pryor because I kind of you have to pay attention. You're literally chasing a cannonball.
Thank you. I'm sorry we didn't have any drinks to give you. But we have lovely tablecloths. If you have some mustard, you could eat the tablecloth. I'm doing a stand-up on the show because the people, NBC said, well, America don't know who you are. And you come out and they're scared. They just see black people and they get nervous if they don't know who they are. So you should come out and introduce yourself. I was born. Then they feel safe. Oh, it's all right, Marge. You can watch him. He was born. It's wonderful. And I feel like a kid. I love children because they talk so straight. And you ask them questions, they never answer you straight, right? They go, what happened? When, first in, when we went in, Jimmy, then he pulled things, and I didn't do it. Kids and hillbillies are my favorite people. Because hillbillies are like children, too. You know, they don't know what they're talking about either, you know. You ever get lost in the South and ask the hillbilly directions? They tell you the history of the world, but they never tell you where you want to go. Say, how do you get down? Well, I'll tell you what you do, boy. You take junction 35 and you drive down about 14 miles. You make a left turn up there by the big hog sign. Jed Wells built that hog sign up there back in 1927. And it has a big snout coming out of it, because I remember, old boy, had a semi, was driving down through there, and it jackknifed on him and just flipped over the road. Cans and everything laid all around. What'd you ask me?
Well, there's a DVD, I think it's in San Francisco. It's the famous one. He just come on after a band, and I think it's about an hour. I think it's just an hour of perfect comedy. It's hilarious. It's heartfelt. It's personal. You know, he's talking about like his wife chucked him out of the house or something, and so he's shooting the car tires.
Then the police came. I went in the house because they got magnums too, and they don't kill cars. They kill niggas.
Awesome.
You're right.
And all his stuff about talking about having a heart attack, and it's brilliant, fascinating stand-up routine. He's just brilliant. You know what I mean?
And he, unlike Robin Williams, had a very different access to film. It didn't quite work out the same way for Richard Pryor, I don't think.
It didn't. Some things were okay. Was it Brewster's Millions? Was he in that?
Possibly, yeah, exactly.
Ill-fated Superman.
But it was a film. It was number 3, and it was all about him, and it was hilarious stuff. If it was just about him without the Superman, I would have. It was an enjoyable film.
Yeah.
Because you're not watching Superman, you're watching him getting money out of an ATM. It's just free money, and that's the scene that I always go to.
Yeah, absolutely.
When he's hacking into the computers, and I love that. That's a great character, and they should have played on that.
Yeah, but Pryor turned up in Lost Highway, didn't he?
Richard Pryor was in Lost. Whoa, hang on.
Yeah, Richard Pryor was in Lost Highway. He was ill at that point, but he was. I think because the kid in it was the mechanic. I think he was the person who run the garage, the mechanics.
The hell's wrong with me? What the hell? Do you know what? Lost Highway. Some of David Lynch's stuff is like a dream. Okay.
Yes.
When you finish watching it, you remember all the colours and the shifting and the feelings and this and the weird stuff, but you never remember everything. There's stuff happening behind you in his movies, and it's like, I've got to watch it again now. I'm going to have to go and see that.
Yeah, because I think he was poorly when he did it, but yeah, he's in it.
Gutted.
But I was thinking Pryor, when he was on his game.
Yeah.
And it was funny because he could talk about the race divide.
Yeah.
But still, white and black people, obviously black people and white people will go to his shows.
Yeah.
It brought everybody, even though he was like, he has this great bit, he says he thinks it's hilarious when white people go back to the seats to find out a black person's took his seat. And he always had this great voice, this cliche white man voice, but he's like, excuse me, I think you sat in my seat and we ain't saying this no more, motherfucker, kind of thing. And I just thought it was amazing. I really did. And obviously, you could talk about Pryor leads on to Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Because Murphy I think he was a decent stand-up. I think he was,
Yeah, but I think he did what he wanted to do with that.
Some of it is so dated and of its time.
Yeah.
Because he did Raw and what was the other one?
It begins with D. Delirious? No.
Delirious.
Was it Delirious?
Yeah, Delirious. Yeah. And
one of them where he wears a red suit, that's Delirious.
Yeah, I think so. And
Raw was black, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. I know because his ego was massive. You know, the beginning of it was him arriving on his personalised plane and all that.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
And he did a lot of stuff about AIDS being about gay people, and it was some of his time and ignorant. But when it was great, it was so funny.
For some reason, when I think of Eddie Murphy's stand-up, I just think about the costumes. Because they're so few of his stand-ups. He was very, very rubber, and people get angry on YouTube. Especially anybody who's not of the generation of the Eddie Murphy stand-up. How dare you comment on his costume, about what he's wearing. It's perfect for the time. It was what he wanted to wear at the time. It was amazing at the time. It was of the moment.
You got to be careful. You got to have a J.O.B. in the 80s. You got to have some money. You got to have some money. You can't get no pussy. Listen to the radio. That's what it's about. Listen to Madonna. I'm a material girl in a material world. You ain't got no money. You can't have no pussy. Basically what it is, there's a song out now called Got to Have a J.O.B. if you want to be with me. And the lyrics go, ain't nothing going on but the rent. Like if you went up and said, hey babe, what's going on? The rent, motherfucker. Do you have a job? Well, I to get the fuck out my face. Got to have some money. It says no romance without finance. And women love them songs. They go, got to have a J.O.B. Janet Jackson got a hit record. What have you done for me lately? That's what they be thinking. What have you done for me lately? The records start off like that. I know he used to do shit for you, but what has he done for you lately? Baby, I love you. What have you done for me lately? You the only thing on my mind. What have you done for me lately? We make good love. What have you done for me lately?
Well, what have you done for me lately?
Let's spawn that.
I love that. That was great. I mean, but the thing is, I think with Eddie Murphy, he realised that, yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
I'm not a truth sayer. I'm not somebody who needs to now carry on and keep telling the people what they need to know. He's done that and he's moved on.
Well, he talks about how when he was starting out, all he wanted to be was Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
So he'd do routines like Richard Pryor, but all he could talk about was having a shit because that's all he'd done because he was a kid. So his parents stood around and he was doing this. You don't remember when you were having a shit and that shit comes down and goes back up? Why your shit be teasing your ass? You know, and it's really funny. And what was these other stuff? What was that? He's James Brown. I think the chair squeaked.
Yeah, sorry.
Have you heard his James Brown routine? Where he's it's so good. He said he doesn't know how the band understand what he's doing because you can't understand what he's saying. So he'd be like, so he's going to his band like, give me some, yeah, 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 kind of thing. Cause I'll stick it on, and it's so good. It's really funny, and pity he's not funny anymore.
No, but he's Eddie. I mean, again with Dennis Leary, I kind of feel as though that the comedy was there, and then he wanted to leave that because he wanted to do different things, not bigger in capacity, but
I think he wanted
more
to be a
appeal.
superstar.
He wanted to be
yeah.
And I think he had his moments. I mean, Bowfinger was incredible. I
He was
loved
great
him
in
in
that.
Bowfinger.
Yeah.
I think that's the only movie where he plays two people that I care to talk about ever.
Yeah.
Any other one, Norbit and all the rest.
I don't know. Coming to America was really
That was
good.
great. That was good.
Sexual chocolate.
Yeah, and I love his
He
48.
plays the Jewish guy as well. You know.
But it's basically everything in the 80s. You know, Coming to America, 48 Hours.
Yeah.
The Beverly Hills Cop movies, apart from the third one, which was a big fat third. And maybe but it's it's one of those things where he was of the time. He was perfect for the 80s.
Yeah.
He took off where Richard Pryor left.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And I think
He filled a hole, so to speak.
Yes,
and then Chris Rock has sort of taken his thing on.
He has, and I think Chris Rock is one of those people who is always misunderstood in the media.
Who's more racist, black people or white people? Black people. You know why? Because we hate black people too. Everything white people don't like about black people really don't like about black people. There's some shit going on with black people right now. It's like a civil war going on with black people. And there's two sides. It's black people and there's niggers. And niggers have got to go.
And it was brave stuff, and a primarily black crowd listening to it.
People can need to kind of just forget the two-dimensional vision.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
and actually
Well,
reach.
you're saying that, trying to people like them for doing stuff that you should do anyway. We're saying, I'm a good man. I look after my kids. You're supposed to look after your kids. Don't
justify
Don't justify it. You're supposed to. And it was a great juxtaposition, really. And I think he's a brave performer. I think he's a good man. He's a good guy.
Yeah. And again, he's done movies as well, and then you've got Chris Tucker, who kind of like tried to steal his life. I don't know what it is about that guy, but he gets on my nerves a little bit.
But Chris Tucker was in Silver Linings Playbook, and he's really good in that.
Oh God! You know what? Again, somebody's
And De Niro's really good in that. Everyone's really good in that film.
That's another film that I have not seen.
We should do
Yeah.
one just on
that
Is
one.
it David O. Russell who does those films? I think it is.
Okay. David O. Russell films?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a Cameron thing? Yeah?
Yeah. Because he did. We probably talk about it here, but
I can talk business.
talk business.
You did the beautiful thing.
The forest over there.
But yeah, I want to see more of Chris Rock. I'd like to see other sides of him. I think I'd like to. I know that he can do other things. I'm just waiting for him to do it. And I don't know what it is, but I'm waiting for him to do something. I don't know what it is.
I know what you mean.
Okay. Other comedians.
Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. You got your list there.
Yeah.
Now he's a man's man.
He's a great comedian. He's a great storyteller.
Yeah, I think he's more the subversive Seinfeld.
Yeah,
he's very much about the family, talking about the family, the home, the domestic experience, and how it winds him up. I love that.
Yeah. And he's a really good actor as well.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a good producer, and he's got the business sense. He's got the Seinfeld sense. I think that's kind of why I compare the two, because they're both on television.
It is.
Kind of, yeah.
With Maron, you don't think of him that way, do you? Think of him primarily as a comic, not an actor.
No, I always think of him as a radio DJ. I think
do you?
You know, the Air America. I kind of think that the comedy was something that he just needed to do. Desperate. It was.
I think he's a comic first and foremost. WTF is just something he did, and he's brilliant.
I think he grew into that. I don't think he was a comic. I don't think he had it straight away. I think he had to get him through himself first. There was a lot of transcending in his.
Well, yeah, he was a very angry comic, and now he's not as angry.
Now he's brilliant because he's understood how to use his comedy effectively and how to kind of channel it.
Well, that's why I think him and Stuart Lee click so well, and why Maron talks so
highly of him,
highly of Stuart Lee, because they both have honed their craft and are better now than they've ever been.
Yeah.
And
they both had that lull. They both had that thing where they go away and say, "Well, okay, that happened. Let's just try and figure out, what to do now, and then come back." I mean, in a way, Mark Maron's had a lucky comeback. But the difference is that Mark Maron's taken charge of it himself and said, "Okay, fuck it, I'm gonna go and hide in my garage." That was the start of it. I can't use the studios over there anymore. They won't let me in, so I'm gonna go and do this in my garage.
That's why people. This is why I like these guys who. There's nothing else they can do. This is what they do.
Yeah. But
I know now he's acting, and I think he more fell into that, where producers may have seen, think, oh, maybe we can work on this. But even Maron, his TV series is basically just his life.
It works,
and he can't do anything else. That's it. That's what he can do. Stuart Lee can't do anything else.
No, exactly.
That's
You're
all
right.
he can do.
Yeah.
Bill Hicks couldn't have done anything else.
No.
He quite possibly could have been a writer, but just to be this.
He wouldn't like to be hidden away.
Yeah,
he needs to be. He'd be the one who basically forget. I want to tell a story.
Yeah, George Carlin couldn't have been anything else. He was a prolific writer, but he could not. That was him.
Yeah, exactly.
We're onto something.
Yeah, it's basically, it's that creative thing inside of you that you remove it, you die.
You get people like Larry David.
Yeah.
And he was a good stand-up.
One thing about Hitler that I admired is that he wouldn't take any shit from magicians. Hitler was a big fan of magic, and Hitler would go to a magic club, and he'd watch the show, and afterwards he'd go backstage to talk to the magician. He'd go, it was a wonderful show, and I was just wondering, I was talking to my friend, where's the rabbit? I'm sorry, mein Führer. I'm really glad you enjoyed it, but we're really not allowed to tell about the secrets. They're tricks. We're not allowed. Yes, I understand you're not allowed to tell, but just tell me, where's the rabbit? Mein Führer, it's a union thing. Where is the rabbit? You will tell me where the rabbit is now!
Yes.
But he was meant for something else, to be a writer and to be an actor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's an all-rounder. He's
a brilliant guy.
He's also stage. He does off Broadway as well.
Yeah.
And but he's so modest but that's a part of his act. And is it real? I mean, Larry David is one of those people who he's a hard nut to crack. I don't think he's been on WTF yet, has he?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I know he's been in.
Maron interviewed the guy who plays his. I forget his name now, but
Jeff Garlin.
Jeff Garlin, and he basically said that's Larry David.
Yeah.
Like that stuff just happens to him.
That's just him.
Where he goes, things happen, and he doesn't mean for it to happen, and he gets himself in predicaments all the time. He just has the gift to be able to think, well, that happened, I'll write about that, and have the medium to put it onto TV.
But I think, in a way, that's probably that. Like you say, that's his thing. That he can't do anything else but be like that.
Yeah.
It's like I can't go to work and be quiet.
Yeah.
I have to go around and I'm making jokes all the time, man. I cannot stop. I'm literally just I have to say things about people and to make them laugh. I mean, I've got this new guy at work, and I'm telling him, I don't want you to stand too close to me because I really think that your beard is offensive. It's too, that's why I've shaven, because I just don't want to be associated with you. And you got earrings in. What's going on? Wham did break up, and I ripped the piss out of him, and he's laughing and he loves it.
Yeah.
And I love that. I gravitate towards that because I know that I can play all day.
Yeah, well, like I said, you always get it was the same when I used to work at that cinema where we weren't allowed to talk to each other and all that kind of stuff. And I'm the same as you. There was like quite a lot of Asian guys work there, and I loved them all to bits. Got along with them. And there was one shift we were on a close, and it was about 11 o'clock at night, and there was just there was 3 of the Asian guys and me, and I was like, if this was a Bollywood film, would I be the first person to die?
See, that's funny.
You know what I mean?
I love that.
And and I was getting in trouble all the time for.
But they get pulled up for saying that, because it's like you can't say that. It's like, but
I think one American comedian that everyone respects and has turned out to be a bit of a prick is Bill Cosby. Everyone cites him as being a really good stand-up. Clearly wasn't a nice guy.
He's a bit of a 911. He's a bit of a 911. Sorry, 911 call. He's a bit of a.
Bill's doing it again. Call the police.
It's like everybody has their own conspiracy. They leech. Well,
he's the American. He's the American Jimmy Savile.
I just got possessed.
Right, sorry.
Yeah,
but he's the American Jimmy Savile because everyone seemed to know what kind of person he was, but just let him do it. I've heard he was talking. Marin again, genius guy. He was talking to someone who was really into this. When this story broke about Bill Cosby as essentially raping loads of young women and stuff. That a young girl had been brought onto set, and they were keeping her away from Bill because they knew what Bill was like. So they knew the stuff he was doing.
Yeah.
But he was talented, and he was making lots of money,
yeah.
and he's a powerful man.
Yeah.
So he somehow got away with it.
But it's funny how all these things have since the Savile thing and the Rolf Harris, all of a sudden America's starting to do it as well. It's like this. All of a sudden, people are standing up to these.
Like a witch hunt.
There's a pretty.
It's a witch.
There's a pretty strong feeling of wanting to hunt down these kind of people, and they're popping out. People are basically going up to them with this paint and doing that across them, saying, "Look, here's another one."
Yeah, I was looking through my mum and dad's loft, and I came across a box with my old stuff, and there was a TV guide in there, and it was literally like a sex offenders register circa 1986. All the people that were on TV in the 80s
Cosby
are now,
Show,
and it's
Jim Will Fix It, Rolf's Cartoon Club,
the Rolfaroo. Remember that?
Man.
Yeah, in that stand-up we're trying to write, I wrote a little bit about Jim Will Fix It.
Yeah?
Yeah, because my dad reminded me when I was a kid, I wrote to Jim Will Fix It because I wanted to be a Thundercat. So I sent in, like, can you fix it for me to be a Thundercat? And I sent a picture of me holding a Lion-O figurine, and the gag is like, never wrote back. What was wrong with me? All those kids, that sick bastard fucked, never come near me. What was wrong with me?
I just had this image of him like collecting your picture and going.
Well, that's part of how I was going to pretend that someone in the audience said something. Yeah, you're right. Maybe he did wank off to my picture. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
We can hope.
Yeah, that would at least that makes me feel like I'm wanted.
Yeah, it's like going the character of the person who's always.
It's a damn dirty, filthy world out there, and unfortunately, power is a really stupid thing. And you've got comedians who are crazy with power, and you've got people who use their power correctly, and it's just strange because I can't see people like Mark Maron losing his power and turning into anything but who he is.
Yeah,
and you know who the right ones are because they're the ones that are saying exactly.
Yeah,
who
well,
they
it's so
are.
powerful comedian about Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, yeah,
He was like a rock star comedian, wasn't he? I mean,
but he's an amazing banjo player too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm mesmerised by his music as well.
But very surreal stuff.
Yeah.
Much like early Woody Allen stand-up was all very surreal. Like him having a conversation with an elevator. you know.
Yes, but also the fact that he's this in that film where he's brought up by a black family. And he gets there's this moment where the parents have to sit down and tell him he's not
the jerk.
He's not black. Yes,
and that's great because he's crying.
I'm not black.
I'm always gonna be this colour. He's crying his eyes out. It's so subversive and brilliant.
Oh, I love it, and it's so ridiculously brilliant.
Yeah, and the man with two brains.
Yeah,
when he was like,
he doesn't have to do stand up. He's just comedy.
He's got the brain. He's like, and they're trying to find a body to put it in. He's saying like, oh, we could put and he's talking about how much he loves this girl, and you know he can't live without her. He goes, well, we can maybe put her in the body of a gorilla. He goes, no way, I'm going to fuck a gorilla. It comes back to the reason he just wants to fuck her again. You know, it's just amazing. Yeah, and Roxanne.
Yeah.
How many gags does he do about having a big nose?
Ooh.
I mean, it's relentless and no cutaway. Just joke after joke after joke.
Start with obvious. Excuse me, is that your nose or did a bus park on your face? Meteorological. Everybody take cover. She's going to blow. Fashionable. You know, you could de-emphasize your nose if you wore something larger, like Wyoming. Personal. Well, here we are. Just the three of us. Punctual. All right, Delman, your nose was on time, but you were 15 minutes late. Envious. Oh, I wish I were you. Gosh, to be able to smell your own ear. Naughty. Pardon me, sir. Some of the ladies have asked if you wouldn't mind putting that thing away. Philosophical. You know, it's not the size of a nose that's important. It's what's in it that matters. Humorous. Laugh and the world laughs with you. Sneeze and it's goodbye Seattle. Commercial. Hi, I'm Earl Scheib and I can paint that nose for $39.95. Polite. Would you mind not bobbing your head? The orchestra keeps changing tempo. Melodic. Everybody. He's got the whole world in his nose. Sympathetic. Oh, what happened? Did your parents lose a bet with God? Complimentary. You must love the little birdies to give them this to perch on. Scientific. Say, does that thing there influence the tides? Obscure. Whew. I'd hate to see the grindstone. Well, think about it. Inquiries. When you stop and smell the flowers, are they afraid? French. Say, you see, pigs have refused to find any more truffles until you leave. Pornographic. Finally, a man who can satisfy two women at once.
Is that all improvised?
Or
did he actually have just a kind of a headspace of gags that he could just
well, maybe it was
remember,
scripted, I don't know, but I mean, and he was a world all of his own, Steve Martin.
Yeah, I don't think you never put him with anybody else.
No, you can't.
He worked with Eddie Murphy and Bowfinger, and that was okay. But most of the time, it's just you just need him on the poster.
Well, yeah, because he sort of reinvented himself. He was this manic, crazy guy in the 80s, and in the 90s, become more of the underdog kind of character.
Yeah.
The thing that all the crap happens to is him, and now he doesn't really do that many films. He's more of like a writer, isn't he? He does poetry and things like that.
The Broadway again.
Broadway.
And I think everybody gravitates to high art. I mean, that's where they're not being. I mean, the thing is, we're not being fed mass culturally. We're not getting a lot of art in our diet these days, and I think that they feed off that.
Mm.
And if they're not getting it, then they're creating it, and they're desperate to kind of create. I think that's kind of where a lot of these comedians who are now doing Broadway, you've got actors doing Broadway, people who you wouldn't expect doing off Broadway, and things that, not that I can name a single one.
Yeah, well, I know that Eddie Izzard did a stage show about Lenny. He was Lenny Bruce.
Yeah.
A stage show, and that was what Robin Williams' wife was producing.
Shit, yeah.
And it got loads of rave reviews. Apparently, it was like really good. I've never seen it, so I can only speculate.
I'd love to. Do you know, watching stuff from Lenny Bruce recently, I kind of just feel as though that he's a gap. He's kind of like the magic combination that everybody doesn't really understand is, because not a lot of people kind of reference him.
I suppose he's like you said when we were talking. It was before his time.
Yeah, before his. Yeah, he was way ahead. He was basically doing what people are doing now that would be considered tame.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the 6 words that you can't say. He pretty much. Sorry, he said that himself. George Carlin just ran with it because he knew that he needed to try it with his audience. He needed to try it for his generation. You know, how is it working for him, and how is it working now? It's almost as if he just needed to know, does this sweater still fit?
Yeah. Carlin's work on my favourite things, materialism, was always about religion.
Yes.
He was the one guy who could really just put it in a box. There it is.
Yeah,
Just look at it.
But without actually being hostile about it. It was just matter of fact. It's just, you know...
Yeah. Well, there's that brilliant routine where you're saying that religion's got you convinced as a guy who lives in the clouds.
Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do every minute of every day. And the invisible man has a special list of 10 things he does not want you to do. And if you do any of these 10 things, he has a special place full of fire and smoke and burning and torture and anguish where he will send you to live and suffer and burn and choke and scream and cry forever and ever till the end of time. But he loves you.
No matter how powerful he is, he always needs that little bit more money. And it's brilliant, really good, and it was important stuff for people to hear.
He plays on the emotional extremes.
Yeah, and just him and Hicks, I would just love to live in a world where they're still alive now and talking about events that have happened and things that are going on now. I would love to yeah.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
let's open this up. Sarah Silverman.
Okay.
What do you think of her as a modern day comedian?
I like her actually. I think she's. I've not seen a great deal of her material. I think when we talk about female comedians, I will research her. By not knowing too much about her and not really seeing that much material, she seems to me a person who tries to be not offensive but out there. Says
testing things. Yeah, and I think that's kind of exactly what the point that I think she's a person who is like, I wonder how this works.
Yeah,
she's doing the Carlin thing as to, you know, I wonder what this looks like on people.
Yeah,
you know, I want to know what people do and are. It's not about her. It's always about how do people react to these things. What is it about people that this is so offensive? You know what? You know, that's why she's consistently going for the genitalia in her stuff as well.
Yeah.
And people always kind of think, oh, she's so smutty. She's always on about, you know, it's always about that dick jokes and vaginas and always about that and periods. But it's not. She's just kind of trying to figure out what is really underneath. On the, you know, she's putting it out on the surface because she needs to figure it out. And I think that's it. It's another psychological ride for her.
And
that's kind of how I get it.
Yeah, and language is relative. You know, people getting offended by language.
Yeah,
I don't get that.
No, I don't.
You know, cunt means buttocks in Dutch. You know what I mean?
Cunt, yeah, cunt.
Yeah,
and kut is vagina is an offensive word for her. So every time you go to a hairstylist and you get a good cut, you're getting good vagina. So, you know, in every language, it's
everywhere
different.
I go, I get good vagina.
Exactly. It's like
That's
you know, this
why I'm
words.
bald. I can't get no good vagina no more.
I thought that was heartburn. That's okay.
Actually, here's a weird thing. My wife cuts my own hair. My wife gives me vagina in 2 ways. Thank God she never listens to anything I do.
Yeah, thank goodness. But yeah, that's the thing. And it's like there is blue stuff, but there is still this locked inside us that, you know, when we're growing up as children, you're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to say that. You have rules and restrictions, and all these comedians that you can listen to with your headphones. You can get lost in this world of all this stuff, and you can't tell your mum. It's kind of a fascinating, exciting thing. But then when you just strip it away, they're just words. When you strip it all away, and you actually get rid of the magic and it's just boil it right down to its bare bones, all you're talking about is the English language or whatever language it is you're speaking, and it's just humanity. It's just us. And we all think about it. We all have this.
It's society telling you that you can't say these words.
Yeah,
these words are offensive,
but you think
just
them.
Words.
But you think them.
It's just a ride.
It's just a ride.
And you can get off it anytime you want.
The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride. And we kill those people.
Shut him up. We have a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up. Look at my furrows of worry. Look at my big bank account and my family. This has to be real.
It's just a ride. But we always kill those good guys who try and tell us that. You ever notice that? And let the demons run amok? But it doesn't matter, because it's just a ride. And we can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love.
And as George Carlin said, and these are words I live my life by, and it came from George Carlin, is if there's one thing you can teach your kids, is to question everything.
Yeah.
Whatever you read, whatever the news says, whatever anything tells you, question it.